Hi everyone. So this is going to be another life coaching video, giving advice, again, advising you, advising me, advising all on how to deal with certain life obstacles or challenges. Okay, so the topic is discrimination. Discrimination. It's a very common topic currently in the media, in all over the world, globally speaking. People are coming out and addressing a lot more issues with discrimination, whether it's, again, um, personal discrimination, racial discrimination, sexual discrimination, inequality, those issues that discrimination really tackle. Okay, so it's a very uncomfortable topic for me, but it's a very comfortable topic for me because, again, I being who I am, I have had to deal with that, and I currently still deal with that in my day-to-day life, and I think I'm always going to deal with that in my day-to-day life, and I'll explain that a little bit further as we go. But for others, they might not face those issues, or they might not feel as if they face those issues, or um, they might not never encounter. Some might never encounter discrimination in their entire lives. So that is a blessing to them. But unfortunately, for the rest of us who have to deal with certain societal discrimination or discriminatory um, challenges, it can be a difficult ordeal or a difficult thing to deal with and to overcome. So the best way to handle that would be to, again, I've made other videos where I've spoken about certain things that would help in career. This topic in discrimination would, again, entail everything. So not just your own life, but every facet in your life. If you do ever encounter this situation, or if you do ever feel as if you're faced with discrimination in any aspect of your life. It could be, again, not you. It could be someone you know. It could affect you in any way, but it is around, and it's something that people are, I guess, speaking a lot more about. But I don't want to get too much into detail about others. I want to generalize it for everyone to understand, um, and that way that you guys can understand how to approach it. Okay, it's the approach of it all that really matters when dealing or when handling very touchy topics like that. Okay, so we all kind of encounter that. Again, I've spoken. We all have encountered discrimination somewhere in our lives. If it's not us, it's someone else. And we have to be more tolerant of each other. That's very difficult. Okay, it's very difficult to be tolerant of each other because we all have our own opinions, and those opinions can very easily be taken out of context. Can easily offend someone. Can easily take someone from one place in their life to a whole other place in their life. Um, Addressing discrimination can be a difficult task. So understanding what type of discrimination, identifying, again, what type of discrimination you're facing, and or how to overcome that. Okay, so the best way to, I would say, to overcome discrimination is, again, identifying it. Again, acknowledging that whether you're the victim or someone else is the victim of it, and you don't technically have to bring awareness to it. Um, that's a personal choice, okay? But for some, I would definitely advise to do that, to bring awareness to it within your own situation or your own dynamic or your own life. Um, Discrimination can really take hold of one's personal life, okay? Your confidence, your career, your personal life, your family life. There's a hidden shadow side to discrimination where it's unspoken of, or people don't really want to talk about it. They want to keep it kind of um, underneath the radar, sweeping everything underneath the rug and saying, oh, there's no issue here. This person is just solely thinking about themselves, or being a certain way, or acting in a certain way, or saying certain things that, might seem troubling to others, but it might be troubling to you as well if you are faced with discrimination. Um, Racial discrimination is a big deal. I hate having to talk about race, but it's the biggest one, I think, out of all. And again, it doesn't have to be white versus black. It is simply people versus people at that point. Okay. Um, there's discrimination for the most minuscule things, such as, someone's skin tone, someone's features, someone's background, someone's religion, sexual orientation, age, gender. All those things come under discrimination, and they can all be swept right underneath the rug and be completely bypassed in society. And again, my personal example I can give you guys is a interracial relationship. Me being the person that is, again, out of the race that my ex partner was in, and me having friends who were of the same race as my partner. And my partner at the time, I think I spoke to him. I said to him, "Oh my God, like this individual, friends of mine are not really being very supportive of you and I being together, and I feel very uncomfortable. I feel like they're doing something very shady." Um, Again, that led to so many different challenges for me that I'm still overcoming. And no one has acknowledged anything either. The funny thing is, they kind of never try to acknowledge what they're doing, but they want you to acknowledge what you're doing. And again, if you're not doing anything but just watching them do, then it's really unnecessary to even address it. But for others who are dealing with other types of discrimination, know that you're not alone. Know that there are ways that you can handle, you can tackle, you can overcome those challenges. Again, environment is a big thing. If you find that you're facing continuous challenges within your environment, and it's not making sense to you, how you feel like there's a stagnancy going on in your life, and there's some sort of inability to overcome, and you've already placed energy in overcoming, you've already problem solved, you've already, again, rationalized, you've already reasoned, you've already tolerated, you've already brought awareness to the situation, and you've reached out to others, and no one is really understanding that, or no changes, you're not really seeing any actual changes happening in your life. You can actually make more changes by, again, relocating and understanding. Again, there are pros and cons to doing that, so you have to be able to understand how that will affect you, and not only just in your present, but in your future tense as well. And that's the most important thing, understanding that the past that you're going to leave by entering into your future tense of your life, relocating, changing environments, changing careers, changing how you approach life, how you approach others, how you approach people, understanding that, changing your friends, changing your entire circle, or your entire community, because they're just not facilitating your growth. They're not facilitating anything that has to do with your creativity, anything that has to do with you being a better whole person. They are just keeping you stagnant in negativity, and continuously going on and on and on, trying to convey a point that's unrelevant to what actually occurred. Okay, you have to be aware of those kind of people. Those kind of people are called manipulators. Again, they are interpreters of their own misdoings. Okay, so you have to understand that by listening to them, listening to what they have to say, you can always interrogate by asking a question and saying, "Hey, this is a yes or no question." You can simply give an answer, and it's only two words. It's just a yes and or a no. Dismiss the and or a no. You can parentheses that if you like. Just visually think about it. But again, you have to be able to know how to just listen to what they have to say. If they're saying something that doesn't seem correct to you, or their interpretation of what occurred seems so false from what actually occurred, know that you can simply acknowledge what they're saying. Say, I agree with you, that you are going around feeling that way. But unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to help how you feel about your interpretation of what you're conveying. And that can be offensive to them as well. So you have to, don't be defensive. My advice is not to be defensive to what they have to say. Acknowledge them again, agree with them. Just agree with them. Just let them just feel as if they're the victim. Because again, some people actually enjoy being the victim, and when they feel victimized by their own doing, they tend to kind of, they never feel complete or content with that feeling. It seems as if they're rejecting that feeling and they're not really accepting that victimization that they placed upon themselves. They seem to kind of want to be angry about it and say, no, I don't want to feel victimized. I do not want to feel as if I had this wonderful moment where everyone's again for me and I get to be, it's kind of similar to like someone like really like just melodramatic about something that they think has occurred in their lives based upon their own actions, and just wanting a lot of sympathy, wanting a lot of people to crowd around them as if it's some kind of momentous moment in their life, and it's not. Okay, the reality of the matter is it's their emotions that are again discombobulated, and they need maybe some fresh air, maybe they need some support. Again, agreeing with those individuals is the best way to calm them down mentally, because again, some of these people are mentally deranged, and it's hard for them to really understand how to mellow their brain down in a more of a irrational way. Okay, emotion can be overwhelming. It can take over one's mind. It can make someone see things and think things that are again not really the actual things. Okay, so you have to be again tolerant of those people, those individuals. They can again be projecting those things onto you. They can be gaslighting you. They can be inferior to you. They can say a lot of crazy shit about you, and those things doesn't they do not have to actually affect you per se or personally. You can just again stay with it. Okay, it's like keeping your eye on the prize, and staying focused on that, and being present with that individual, or with those individuals, or with that situation, or with that challenge, and knowing that it is an obstacle, it is momentary, it is something that you can overcome. And if you focus on finding a way to again mellowing it out, it's kind of like you're watching this wild fire thing, and you're just kind of like, I know what's happening here, and understanding that there's nothing that you can do. It is going to just pretty much overtake everything that is around you at that time. And what it's going to leave is it's going to leave something more prosperous. It's going to leave coal. Okay, a lot of fires leave coal. Like the coal miner's daughter, like Loretta Lynn, and you can bag that coal up and you can sell that coal and you can make money off of that coal. Okay, I had a grandparent that used to do that. We used to do that as a kid growing up. We used to actually like burn wood and actually turn it to coal, like take the coal out and like shovel it up and put it in bags and sell it for money, so we can all eat. So you can look at it from a resourceful way. You can look at it from a practical way, of course, that's the same thing. And you can look at look at it as a more of an emotional awareness for you and for that person. It's a moment for you to really take on someone else's emotions, and not be judgmental toward their emotion, not be judgmental toward their mind, but to understand that wherever it is that whatever it is that they're feeling, or wherever it's stemming from, it has to be interconnected to them somehow. And they might not see how it's interconnected to them. It might be a lucid thought for them. Okay, it might seem like, oh my God, it has nothing to do with me, but it totally might have something to do with them. And they might not see that at any time, it could take years for them to see that they had a huge part